On this day in Tudor history, the 13th of February 1542, Katherine Howard, fifth wife of Henry VIII, and Jane Boleyn, Lady Rochford, were executed at the Tower of London. Their crime? Treason against the king. But was Katherine guilty of more than youthful indiscretion? And why was Jane condemned alongside her? The story of Katherine Howard is one of ambition, betrayal, and a tragic downfall. A young queen who once captured the heart of Henry VIII, she would ultimately face the same fate as her infamous cousin, Anne Boleyn. But Catherine's downfall wasn't just about her past. Her secret meetings with Thomas Culpeper proved to be her undoing. And then there's Jane Boleyn, Lady Rochford, the wife of Anne Boleyn's brother, George Boleyn, and a woman whose name is often linked to intrigue and betrayal. But was she a willing conspirator, or was she simply caught in a web of Tudor politics that she couldn't escape? Today, I'm diving into the lives and dramatic final days of Katherine Howard and Jane Boleyn, exploring their arrests, the accusations against them, and their chilling end on the scaffold. Jane Boleyn, Lady Rochford, was born Jane Parker in Norfolk in around 1504–1505 and was the daughter of Henry Parker, 10th Baron Morley, and Alice St John. Her father had been brought up in the household of Lady Margaret Beaufort and had acted as a cupbearer at the coronation of King Henry VIII in 1509. By 1520, when she accompanied the royal couple to the Field of Cloth of Gold, Jane was serving in Queen Catherine of Aragon's household. In 1522, she played the part of Constancy in the Chateau Vert Shrovetide pageant, while her future sisters-in-law, Mary and Anne Boleyn, played kindness and perseverance. Jane married George Boleyn, son of Thomas Boleyn and brother of Anne Boleyn, in late 1524, early 1525. It was an arranged marriage, as was normal at the time, and was a good match for both families. In December 1529, George Boleyn took his father's title of Viscount Rochford when his father was elevated to the Earldom of Wiltshire. So Jane became Viscountess Rochford, or Lady Rochford. In October 1532, she accompanied Henry VIII and the newly elevated Marquess of Pembroke, Anne Boleyn, on their trip to Calais to meet with King Francis I, and she took part in the masque arranged for the French king. Jane would have served her sister-in-law when she was crowned queen on the 1st of June 1533. In the autumn of 1534, Jane was temporarily banished from court for allegedly plotting with Queen Anne to remove the young lady whom this king has been accustomed to serve. A lady who'd caught the king's eye. In May 1536, Jane's husband and sister-in-law, George and Anne, were arrested and imprisoned in the Tower of London. Jane sent a letter of comfort to her husband on the 4th of May, assuring him that she would petition the king on his behalf. However, on the 15th of May 1536, George and Anne were found guilty of high treason and sentenced to death. George was beheaded on the 17th of May and Anne on the 19th of May. George's death brought Jane financial difficulties, and she was forced to ask Thomas Cromwell for help. And it appears that it was down to Cromwell that she was appointed to Queen Jane Seymour's Privy Chamber. Jane also served Anne of Cleves in 1540 and was one of the ladies who provided evidence regarding the non-consummation of the king's marriage to Anne. Following the annulment of the marriage, Henry VIII married Katherine Howard, and Jane moved into her household, acting as the young queen's chief confidant and servant. Katherine Howard was born circa 1522–1523. She was the daughter of Lord Edmund Howard, son of Thomas Howard, 2nd Duke of Norfolk, and Catherine's mother was Jocasta or Joyce Culpeper, widow of Ralph Lee and daughter of Sir Richard Culpeper of Aylesford in Kent. Katherine was brought up in the household of her step-grandmother, Agnes Tilney, Dowager Duchess of Norfolk, based at Chesworth House near Horsham and Norfolk House, Lambeth. At the age of about 13 or 14, Katherine was involved with Henry Manox, a young man who'd been employed to teach the young people of the household the lute and virginals. Although Manox wanted to sleep with Katherine, he got no further than foreplay before he was replaced in her affections by Francis Derham, a man in the Dowager Duchess's service. Derham and Katherine had a full sexual relationship and referred to each other as husband and wife, but it's unclear whether they exchanged any promises. It's believed that the relationship ended in the summer of 1539, and Catherine went to the royal court in the autumn of 1539, ready to serve Anne of Cleves on her arrival in England. At court, Catherine met Thomas Culpeper, a gentleman of the King's Privy Chamber. But their flirtation ended when Culpeper moved on to another lady, and Catherine ended up catching the King's eye. On the 9th of July 1540, the annulment of the King's marriage to Anne of Cleves was announced, and on the 28th of July, the King married Catherine, who would have been about 17 or 18 years of age, at Oatlands Palace. The couple had a short honeymoon before going off on their summer progress. In November 1539, Catherine Tilney, a friend of Catherine's from her time in the Dowager Duchess's household, and Francis Derham, asked Catherine for positions in her household. Catherine was made a chamberer, but as historian Gareth Russell points out, there's no record of Derham being given an official position at this time, although he remained at court and recklessly bragged about his closeness to the Queen. At Easter 1541, Jane Boleyn, Lady Rochford, on the Queen's orders, arranged a meeting between Catherine and Thomas Culpeper. Catherine gave Culpeper gifts, and when he became ill, she sent him messages and food. On the 30th of June 1541, Henry VIII and Catherine set off on their progress to the north of England. While on progress, Lady Rochford helped Catherine meet secretly with Culpeper at Lincoln and Pontefract. At Pontefract, Catherine also received a visit from Francis Derham, and he was appointed as a gentleman usher in her household. The royal party arrived back at Hampton Court Palace on the 30th of October. On the 1st of November 1541, All Saints' Day, the King asked the Bishop of Lincoln at Mass to make prayer and give thanks with him for the good life he led and hoped to lead with her. But his joy in his marriage was brought to an end the following day, when he was confronted by Archbishop Thomas Cranmer with a letter that he was to read in private. The letter was concerning allegations that had been made to the King's Privy Council concerning the Queen's time in the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk's household and her previous relationships with Henry Manox and Francis Derham. The information had come from John Lascelles, brother of Mary Hall, who, like Catherine, had been a member of the Dowager Duchess's household. The claims were investigated and found to be true. Unfortunately, things became even worse for Catherine when Thomas Culpeper's name came up during the interrogations. Francis Derham confessed to knowing the Queen carnally, and both Derham and Catherine confessed to calling each other husband and wife. Robert Davenport, or Damport, who like Derham was tortured during their interrogations, stated that Derham was hoping that the King would die so that he could marry Catherine. Thomas Culpeper and Catherine denied having a sexual relationship, but Culpeper confessed that he intended and meant to do ill with the Queen, and that likewise the Queen was so minded with him. On the 14th of November 1541, Catherine was moved from Hampton Court Palace to Sion House, and various members of her household were taken to the Tower of London. On the third day of her imprisonment, Lady Rochford suffered some kind of mental breakdown, and so was sent to the home of Sir John Russell, the Lord Admiral, to be cared for there by his wife Anne, and to be treated by the King's physicians. On the 1st of December 1541, Thomas Culpeper and Francis Derham were arraigned at Guildhall for high treason and sentenced to death. They were executed at Tyburn on the 10th of December 1541. Culpeper's sentence had been commuted to beheading because of his status, but Derham had to suffer the full traitor's death. On the 22nd of December, members of the Howard and Tilney family plus their staff were tried for misprision of treason for covering up the unlawful, carnal, voluptuous and licentious life of Queen Katherine Howard while she lived with the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk at Lambeth. They were found guilty. On the 21st of January 1542, a bill of attainder against Katherine Howard and Lady Rochford was introduced into the House of Lords, and it received royal assent on the 11th of February 1542. According to this bill, the women were convicted and attainted of high treason and should suffer accordingly. That's to say, be executed. Jane was escorted to the Tower of London on the 9th of February, and Catherine was moved from Sion to the Tower on the 10th of February. On the 12th of February 1542, the two women were told to prepare for their executions, which would take place the following day. They were both executed on the 13th of February 1542 by beheading, and their remains were laid to rest in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula. Most of the Howards and Tilneys were pardoned and released at the end of February 1542, following the executions of Catherine and Jane, but the Dowager Duchess of Norfolk wasn't pardoned until the 5th of May 1542, and her son, Lord William Howard, wasn't pardoned until August 1542. The executions of Catherine and Jane marked one of the darkest moments of Henry VIII's reign. Catherine, the young and lively queen, was gone, a stark reminder of how quickly royal favour could turn to disaster. Jane Boleyn's fate remains one of the most controversial in Tudor history. Was she a schemer who sealed her own doom, or simply a woman caught up in events beyond her control? Both women lost their lives due to Tudor court politics, ambition, and Henry VIII's ruthless need for control. Their remains lie in the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula, resting alongside Anne Boleyn, George Boleyn, and other tragic figures of the Tudor age. What do you think? Was Catherine a foolish girl who brought about her own downfall, or was she a victim of those who pushed her into power? And was Jane a conspirator, or simply an unfortunate pawn? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you love uncovering Tudor history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of my videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.